Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz is in the works. Mike Perry versus Julian Lane has been finalised, and Zhang has been called out by Joanna and Jedrzejczyk for a rematch upon her return. I'm going to break down all of these topics on today's MMA News reaction video, starting with Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz being announced as in the works for UFC 271, February the 12th. I'm so glad that Dustin Poirier is getting right back in there 6 weeks from now if this fight does go ahead, and I do believe this fight will go ahead. They're targeting it for UFC 271. They were both apparently verbally agreeing to fight at UFC 270, but of course, Ngannou is asking for more money right now, so the UFC must completely sabotage his pay-per-view and make sure it doesn't sell over the amount that it should with just Ngannou as the headliner. So they're not going to put any great fights on that card, but that doesn't mean the same thing for UFC 271. They want to boost up the name of Israel Adesanya, give him a bunch of pay-per-view sales and sell him as the new big star of the UFC because he wants to stay around. Israel Adesanya isn't talking about leaving the sport and going to boxing and stuff like that, so they're going to help out his cards because they know that Adesanya is probably going to stick around in the UFC for a lot longer. He's got a lot more fights in his career. He maybe wants to move back up again afterwards, so they're going to put this on the 271 card. I'm so glad because that 271 card was looking really, really weak for a while. Now, they did add some fights on, like Jared Cannonier versus Derek Brunson and some other fights as well, but I'm really glad that Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz, if it does get made, has been added to this card because right now Vince Pichel versus Marco Madson's on the main card. And that tells me it's not the best pay-per-view in the world. Now, Jared Cannonier versus Derek Brunson is a great fight as well. Co-main event of a pay-per-view. A good fight, a great fight, a main event of a fight night, and a good main event of a fight night as well. But I was hoping we'd get Yan versus Sterling on this card. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case now, so it seems a little bit too close now to book a title fight 6 weeks from now, so I'm glad that Dustin Poirier is getting right back in there against Nate Diaz, right in the co-main event slot. Hopefully we can get Chimaev versus Magny or Chimaev versus Muhammad or someone against Chimaev on this card as well, and then that card will be completely finished, and it will be an amazing card, and then I'd say maybe move Pichel versus Madsen off the main card and put on Alexander Hernandez versus Renato Moicano, but we'll see how it goes. It makes this card finished. It makes it an acceptable pay-per-view card and a great pay-per-view card as well. Let's talk about the matchup. Now, originally, when I first considered the idea of this matchup, I was thinking to myself, Dustin Poirier, the fire is still burning. He's going to come straight off of that title fight against Charles Oliveira, where he didn't really take too much damage. Took a couple of good shots on the chin, don't get me wrong, but he didn't get beaten up. KO finished. He got choked out. He tapped out. He didn't even get slept or, like, smash his face on the canvas or nothing really happened to Dustin Poirier. He got no medical suspensions whatsoever. He's ready to turn right back around. He was ready to turn around in January. So, my original beliefs about this matchup were Poirier's probably going to destroy Nate Diaz. If this is not a 5-round fight, Poirier will pick apart and beat Nate Diaz. I think I can maybe get most people to agree on that. If this is a 3-rounder, which I don't think it will be, but if it is, on the co-main event of a pay-per-view, because this isn't a title fight, by the way, so the UFC don't really have to make this a 5-rounder if they don't want to help out Nate Diaz, and I would argue they maybe want to keep Dustin Poirier around, so he's always an option for Conor McGregor, and there's some other big fights they can do with him. They don't know what Nate Diaz is going to be doing next, but he just re-signed another multi-fight contract, so maybe they want to give Nate Diaz a favour and make this a 5-rounder. In a 3-rounder, I would have no problems picking Dustin Poirier, but in a 5-rounder at 170, Nate Diaz is such a fucking heavy bag that it's worrying a little bit, and it's creeping up my spine a little bit now that there is actually a solid chance that Nate Diaz goes out there and just weathers the storm against Poirier, takes an absolute beating, and then comes back later on and wins. I don't want to jinx it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Poirier's going to pick his shots and move and stay focused and get this win and then move on to other big fights, maybe the McGregor quadrilogy later this year, because again, this is in February. McGregor's looking to come back maybe in June earliest. So if I'm Dustin Poirier and I've got this big win in February, I'm using that big win as negotiation to go into that McGregor quadrilogy to maybe earn my title shot again at fucking 155. How the fuck? I don't know how this is all going to work out because it's at 170 and Will Poirier ever be back down at 155? Honestly, I would not mind a permanent move for the winner of this fight to be at 170, including Dustin Poirier, because if Poirier wins this one at 170, there's some really fun matchups you could make. He called out Covington. He's been mentioning Colby Covington's name. That's a great fight you could make. You could do Covington versus Masvidal on Tough. Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz. Also happening this year as well now. Hopefully if this fight goes through with, or this fight gets followed through with anyway. And then maybe you could have the winner of this one versus Covington if he beats Masvidal. I don't see them doing Masvidal versus Dustin Poirier. They're good friends. They both train at the same gym. I don't see them looking to forcefully make that fight happen if they're good training partners. So, but you could have Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal too. Out of that situation, maybe you could have Covington versus Poirier. You could have Covington versus Diaz, but Diaz don't want Covington. There's a lot of people Diaz calls out, but he doesn't call out Covington because I feel like he knows it's just that you're not going to outlast Covington. You know what I mean? So hopefully with these other guys, Nate Diaz has got a chance that they might gas themselves out, beating him up. But for Covington, he's not going to put a lot into his shots, and he'll probably just ragdoll Nate Diaz and just keep it light on him and don't go full force and just dominate him over the 5 rounds. So you don't see Nate Diaz calling out Covington, but I don't mind the idea of that matchup as well. I just really like this one, and I'm glad it's being made 6 weeks from now. Does it make any fucking sense? No, it doesn't, but I'm glad they're both getting paid. And yeah, it's a big matchup, and Nate Diaz likes these big matchups because those are the ones he really shows up for, so we'll see. I just can't help but think that Dustin Poirier is going to just pick his shots, move out of the way, spam leg kicks over and over again, and chew up the face of Nate Diaz for 5 rounds. Maybe go for a TKO with body shots if he senses his opportunity and chops apart the leg enough. But maybe Nate Diaz checks one of the kicks, Poirier breaks his foot, which can happen in MMA. Poirier hits the forehead of Nate Diaz with his thumb and breaks one of his hands. All of a sudden, Nate Diaz is pouring it on and Poirier's starting to wilt and break. You never know with these things, but I will trust Dustin Poirier to win. It's just, where's his mindset at right now? Yesterday, he was tweeting about what he wants to fight for. Do I want to get back to the title? Am I doing this for a paycheck? Am I doing this because I love it? I need to figure things out in my own head for a bit. The next day, he's signed to fight Nate Diaz. They're trying to make it happen. It's in the works. They're finalising the fight. Worrying, but I like his attitude, getting right back in there, not losing his shape after the fight with Charles Oliveira, which only happened a couple of weeks ago, let's not forget. Getting right back in there, making some more money. I think Poirier's fighting for money at this point. To be fair, I think Nate Diaz is as well, am I wrong? So it's hard to really use that as like a, oh, well, Poirier's only fighting for money. Like, what the fuck is Nate Diaz fighting for? I don't believe he even cares to win a belt. You know what I mean? If there's a big money fight compared to a world title, maybe Diaz would go for the title just out of pride. Like, he finally gets his chance to win a world championship. But, man, I don't see it. I don't see championship bouts going well for Nate. But, maybe he would go for that. I feel like he's kind of fighting for money right now as well and looking for the big money fights at the end of his career. He hasn't got much left in the tank in his career. I mean, even though he is a tough guy, eventually after a couple more of these wars where you just get beat up for about 24 minutes of a fight, it's not going to last too much longer. He got sliced open again in the Leon Edwards fight. That's some more fucking scar tissue for Dustin Poirier to try and open up. I just see Poirier being a lot more composed. If this was the Dustin Poirier that maybe took on... If this was a Dustin Poirier that took on Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, brawler, stick it in your face, land big shots over and over again, try and break you down, don't really pick too many great shots from the outside, swarm an opponent, keep in their face, the Anthony Pettis version of Dustin Poirier, maybe I wouldn't mind Nate Diaz's chances. But at 170, I think if Poirier doesn't try and bulk up too much and stays at 155-pound shape and just keeps a good pace, he'll pick apart Nate Diaz, chop at his legs, train leg kicks for 6 weeks, chew apart Nate Diaz's leg, and then just start picking at him at range. Maybe Nate Diaz would have a chance. Well, I don't think he does. In all honesty, I think Poirier's that next level. But what a fucking story it would be if Nate Diaz somehow comes in and gets the upset. I don't mind. I'd love to see it, and it'll be a great fight as well. Moving on to other news that's taken place recently, which is Mike Perry versus Julian Lane being finalised for Bare Knuckle FC. Knuckle Mania is what they're doing on February the 19th. They're making this at February the 19th because There's no main event on a fight night for the UFC on February the 19th, I assume, and they've seen a little bit of a weakness there. They're trying to maybe do Rafael Fiziev versus Rafael Dos Anjos. Maybe they'll do Chimaev as the main event of that fight night and just steal the show that weekend. But if you're Bare Knuckle FC's promotion team, you're looking at that weak spot in the UFC schedule right now. It's only in like 7 weeks or something like that, and they have no main event for that card. So, don't know what the fuck they're doing on that event. They just put Johnny Walker versus Jamal Hill on that card, but that's only the co-main event, so still no news on the main event for that card, but they're trying to compete with it here. Bare Knuckle FC's getting involved. Mike Perry returns against Julian Lane. This is the fucking move that I told him to make, and I'm glad that this move has been made. Now, I wouldn't have minded a Diego Sanchez fight in the meantime, but I did not see Kevin Lee looking at the Diego Sanchez's of the world to fight at 165-pound Eagle FC World Championship in that weight class. That sort of took me off guard, so I did plan for Mike Perry to go for Diego Sanchez first, get that free win against just an absolute shell of himself in Diego Sanchez, and then go after Julian Lane, because Julian Lane's still a tough guy, man. He's still a tough guy. He can brawl. He's a tough fighter. I mean, he looked good in his other fights so far that he's had in Bare Knuckle FC. This one's going to have a little bit of hype as well because, you know, he's had a fight with Mike Perry sort of backstage at one of the events. He attacked him afterwards whilst Mike Perry was doing some commentary work. But Julian Lane, man, looking forward to this matchup. He's 34. Not that far past his prime. It's not like a 38-year-old Julian Lane now. He doesn't have the best record, and he's a little bit hit and miss in Bare Knuckle FC here and there, but he's had some good fights. What's his record so far? 3-4 as a Bare Knuckle fighter. I don't know how to judge BKFC records, but he's done this before. You know what I mean? He's been the decision. He's done it many times. The last time he fought was in October of last year, 2021. Wow, last year, 2021. Got to get used to saying that shit. But either way, big matchup. Mike Perry's coming back. Everyone, we got to support our Nigerian brother. And, yeah, doing his thing, man. I'm glad that Mike Perry's taking this route. Take on Julian Lane. Look for your Diego Sanchez's of the world. If you win against Julian Lane in February on the 19th, please, fucking please, call out Tyron Woodley, Dylan Dennis, Dan Hardy. These are the names, Mike Perry. Okay? I don't want to see you fighting for no belts at BKFC. Maybe they could try and get him a belt first, and that would help sell some of these other fights that they could make. But I'm thinking Tyron Woodley next after this one. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Diego Sanchez after a loss to Kevin Lee. I'm thinking Kevin Lee takes a trip over to BKFC for a bit just for a fight with Mike Perry. Dylan Dennis is also an option. There's some big fights for Mike Perry in the future if he plans his career out correctly. I think this could be the year of Mike Perry if he can take out Julian Lane. I believe he will take out Julian Lane. He looked amazing in his triad combat fight. Now, of course, this isn't a triad combat fight, but at the same time, he fought a real good boxer, and this is boxing with bare knuckle. He fought a real good boxer in triad combat. What was his name? Mike Taylor? Not Mike Taylor. His name was Mike Seals. That was his name. Really good boxer. Mike Perry dealt with him, took some damage, got back up, got back in his face. There's still that hunger for Mike Perry to make his career and make some money for himself. Carries the momentum over right into this bout against Julian Lane. The build-up's going to be great. The press conference is going to be fun. I would recommend getting Jason Knight versus someone on that press conference as well, just so they have some big moments. Maybe even like Jason Knight versus fucking Anthony Taylor, who seems to find his way into every matchup possible just to somehow be a part of a matchup and fight card. I don't know how Anthony Taylor keeps getting involved, but maybe he'll get involved in this one. Big fight, man. BKFC. I'm liking what they're doing. Hopefully they stack this card up the fucking wazoo and we get some big fights on this weekend or the weekend of February the 19th. Because again, UFC sleeping on the fucking job. I have no idea what that event's headline is going to be. No one knows. You're a fucking however many billion-dollar company. No one fucking knows what the event is just over 6 weeks from now. So we'll see. But I've got Mike Perry. And I'm really looking forward to this. And I hope they put some good value into the sort of promotion of this and pay Mike Perry well. I would assume that Mike Perry's probably going to earn probably honestly, I reckon he probably earns about 400k, something like that for these kind of matchups. Big name. He was earning, I believe, that much for a win in the UFC, maybe like 350,000. So he's obviously like the big fish in the small pond of BKFC in terms of big names that they have in that company. So I hope Mike Perry's earning something like 200 to show, 200 to win. That'll be a good wage for himself. And then you start looking for the 500k to show against Tyron Woodley. Okay? Or you win this one, 500k to show against Dylan Dennis, 700k to show against Tyron Woodley. You work up your paychecks, you make some money for yourself. We're all rooting for Mike Perry, I know. Hopefully he gets this one done and moves on and has a great career over at BKFC. Moving on to another news headline that came out today or yesterday, a couple of hours ago. Joanna and Jedrzejczyk versus Zhang Weili. Big matchup. Joanna and Jedrzejczyk calls her out and says, I'm coming back and fighting number one. It will probably be Weili Zhang. This is an amazing matchup. People in the comments are saying, I would love to see Marina Rodriguez versus Joanna and Jedrzejczyk. Marina Rodriguez is fighting Yan Xiaonan, so that fight can't happen. But Zhang Weili versus Joanna and Jedrzejczyk. Good stuff. Joanna and Jedrzejczyk claims, I thought it might be Carla Esparza in reference to who should get the next title shot, but it's already confirmed that she is next for the championship. Oh, she was talking about maybe her versus Carla Esparza. And then Carla Esparza got the title shot confirmed. Marina Rodriguez, who is also struggling with Yan Xiaonan. And then Zhang Weili remains. She's the only other top fighter. I don't see any other top fight. Just going for the belt. Dana made me an offer to fight for the championship, but I would have to wait until November, December, and I don't want to wait. I want to fight. What the fuck? I doubt that. No way they just said, oh, wait until December and we'll just give you a title shot. I highly doubt that, but either way, I love this matchup. It'd be a great rematch, and let's make it happen. This is a big fight. This could be on a big pay-per-view card, on the main card of a pay-per-view. This could even headline a fight night, and I think that might be the best use for it. That might be the best use for it. I know I don't like female headliners of fight nights for 5 rounds, but if there's one you can justify as a contender matchup with no belt on the line, this is where you do it. And that's a great use. That's what they do. Fight night headliner. April, something like that this year. Make that fight happen as a headliner of a fight night, 5 rounds. This is one of the few justifiable female main events of fight nights you can make outside the championship bouts this year. It's this one, and then maybe you could consider making something like a Holly Holm, Jermaine Durand-Me 2 main event of a fight night, but that would be weak as well. So if you're going to do a female fight night headliner this year, use it on this one. With a strong co-main event. I don't know what the co-main event would be. Maybe you do Weili Zhang versus Joanna and Jedrzejczyk main event of a fight night, and then Sean Brady versus Bilal Muhammad co-main event. Something like that could be the case that they go for. Maybe like a Arnold Allen, the Korean Zombie co-main event, and then just make a great card underneath it. We'll see what they choose to do, but I love this matchup, and I want to see it again because the first fight was so good. And also, this is a good position for the winner of this one, because if Yan Xiaonan beats Marina Rodriguez, there's no one really for the title other than Carla Esparza, and they're probably going to make that one immediately next anyway, so the winner of this matchup in April will probably be next for the World Championship, although they probably wouldn't do a Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili trilogy, seeing as she's lost twice already, but maybe they could force it because the second fight was razor close. Some people still think that Zhang Weili won that second fight. Very close second fight that they had. But Joanna and Jedrzejczyk, she wins this one, and let's say Marina Rodriguez doesn't beat Yan Xiaonan. Joanna and Jedrzejczyk's got herself a title shot. She'll probably wait out on the sidelines anyway, even if they do give another shot to Marina Rodriguez. I don't see Joanna and Jedrzejczyk winning this one, though, because I really fucking doubt that she's been training hard over this time off. She's at the beach, she's doing modelling stuff, she's all over the place at this fucking place, at this fashion statement area, and she's going over to this fashion show and this fashion event and this fucking makeup convention. Like, I doubt that Joanna and Jedrzejczyk has been really grinding in the gym over these past 2 years, so I'm going to trust in the improvements of Zhang Weili to carry her in this bout. But I'm telling you, this is how you main event a fight night with women. Never do it, but when you can, take advantage of it, because this is justifiable in my opinion. Let me know in the comments below if you agree. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.